Perfect. Good night, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome to our live. So tonight our talk is going to be about marriage, the truth. Oh Jesus, the truth about marriage. And we have, of course, we have Camille with us, and Kayla as usual, and the other ladies will be joining momentarily, and hopefully Christopher, if he sorts out his internet. Mhm. Okay, he's gonna try again to get on. So we're just gonna give it a couple of minutes so we can share the live a little bit and have a couple people come on.
turn on, turn on this light for me, please. This one.
You look cute.
Yeah, you look cute for sure, man. Your
Oh
hair all a grow.
my
Yeah, your hair all a grow.
God, don't. Camila sound like shade, is that right? It's more like an old tree all over my head a while ago, is that right?
Ay.
Okay, so let's get into it. While everybody others join. So Camille's here. So Camille, tell us a little bit about how you met your partner.
Lord have mercy,
So
girl.
let's start it off that way.
Hmm. Oh, I met this young man.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I've told the story so many times though, man. I um I was in church giving the welcome on the platform giving the welcome, and two young men walked through the doors, and I was like, I suddenly, I said to the congregation, I suddenly feel like a loss for words because two young men just walked in, and I'm pretty sure the one on the right is going to be my husband. And of course, it was just talk. It was just talk, right? Just talk because I
Mm-hmm.
run my mouth all the time, right? Just running my mouth. Anyway, after church, I asked him, if he, introduced myself, asked him if he was new on the island. He said yes. Asked him if he had a ride. He didn't have a ride. I offered to drop him home, so I dropped him home. Didn't see this young man for maybe 3 months. Saw him walking past my house one day, going to play soccer, obviously, because he had a soccer boots in his hand. So I stopped in to talk with him. He had to go play soccer, so he never had the time for me, right? And then he said I didn't see him at church because he went to Jamaica. So and he was because he was lonely and the place was boring getting to him, whatever. So I was like, why didn't you take your family? He said he didn't have a family and all that. I think when I saw him again after that, I said to him, so are you interested in relationships? He's like, no, not really. Not interested. I'm not looking at the moment. Like I was like, oh, because I'm interested. And he's like, no, 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 no. We could talk about it. And the rest is history. So that's that.
Oh my God! So I seen all week this week. I've been seeing posts of you and your boo
Yes.
all over social
Sometimes he's amazing.
media. How long have you been married? I know we said it last week, but for those who
Oh,
don't,
I think I counted last week. I told you 13 years because I was counting the 1 year that we were exclusive because we got exclusive for 1 year before we got married. So December 23rd this year will make 12 years. 12
12
years.
years.
Yeah.
And how would you describe the 12 years in one word?
In one word, jeez, dynamic.
Dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic.
So
Dynamic.
we want to talk a little bit. And try not to go too far in it because I want Christopher to come on before we really get into the um, hard questions. So I'm kind of buying time before Christopher comes on.
Okay.
But over the years, you've been married for 12 years, and you use the word dynamic to describe it. Why did you say it was dynamic?
You know what? I don't even know if it's dynamic. I hope I use the word correctly because I want to. Um, what is that? What does dynamic mean anyway? What I want, what I want to describe is that um, it's changing. There are a lot of changes. We have changed. We've had our highs. We've had our lows. We have had the moments when I really want to crucify him and he wants to crucify me. But in the end, love wins. So it's a lot of, I guess I want to say it has a lot of dynamics. So I don't think dynamic was the word there. But that's it. It's, I mean, it's not always blissful. I could say that. It's not always blissful because we have our moments. We have our moments. Just yesterday, my husband told me I'm bipolar. And I'm like, you know what? It's good to have a second opinion because I've already diagnosed myself a couple years ago that I'm bipolar. And now you're saying the same thing. Now we have two opinions. So
It's good to have a second. I am done.
yes, the word is evolving. Thank you, Auntie Tamara. So just yesterday he was telling me I'm bipolar. So I mean, and he stuck it out. I'm bipolar. Here we are about to enter into our 12th year of marriage. It's amazing.
A lot of people say if you make it through the first year of marriage, you can make it through the rest.
The first year,
Yeah, do you think the first year of your marriage is the most challenging year?
I beg to differ. I think it's the first 7 years. And I mean, the first 7 years is what the books say. And for once, I'm going to agree with the books. The books say 7 years, and I'm going to agree with that because um, it wasn't always smooth. We had a tough 7 years. Tough 7 years. The first year could have been challenging for us because, of course, after marriage, I got knocked up 4 months after marriage. Who does that? So, I mean,
You are very eager.
girl, I plan it all. I plan it well. I just skipped the pill one night and that was it. So anyway, fun and joke aside, a baby coming at that time it really changed the dynamics for us because of course, we're here trying to get to know each other. And then there was this other human being in the mix. And it changed a lot of things, you know? So it was no longer us, but it was us and then this little human where we were all focusing our energy on. So at some point we forget about each other and he forget that I have emotions and I forget that he has emotions because we were so invested in this little child. So, but mind you, if your next question is gonna be, should you wait for a couple years after marriage to have kids? I'm gonna
It
tell
was.
you,
It
if that's
was.
the next question, I'm gonna answer it for you. Um, I just think whenever children comes, whether it is in the first couple months or a first couple years or 10 years after, whenever they come, I just think they change the dynamics. So it's a matter of navigating it successful with your partner and just making great decisions every day that includes that, right? Includes that change. So it doesn't matter if it comes 1 year after or 10 years after. I really do feel that whenever children comes, it just changes things.
Um, I, I mean, having said that, though, don't you think having kids in the first year of marriage puts added strain on the relationship? Because remember, now you're getting to know somebody else in a different way. Because knowing them as a boyfriend or a fiance is completely different from knowing them as a husband. It's completely different. So do you think that it adds extra strain to your relationship?
If it
Having them too early.
if it can add stress,
Hmm.
it can add stress, Charlene. And as I said, when at whatever point a child comes in your relationship, it's gonna add some amount of stress. Um, Coming too early, yes, it could affect the fact that you're just you're just getting to know each other within the marriage context. And for some persons, they would have just started living together. A lot of not everyone gets married and then and while living together. So yes, we were just living together as husband and wife, and then here is this other human. It had its challenges because I could tell you, I'm gonna confess it. I could see where my husband was getting jealous of the child. It's a thing for real. He felt like I was too not that I was too invested, but he felt like I wasn't paying him attention anymore because this child was present. So it can have its negative effects. It can have. Um, do I still know my husband 100%? I don't think so because we're complex humans and we change. And sometimes things don't manifest themselves after years. So I'm saying I shared the other day that I had an experience as a child where I just shared that with my husband 2 years ago. That's 10 years into the marriage. And that's when I was sharing that with my husband. So it's I wouldn't say that it's 100% complicated because of how early that was. It's just how you were able to deal with things and to navigate the situation.
True. I agree with you. Kayla, jump into the ring and throw your first question.
All right. So my first
Oh,
question.
so hold on, back up. So all of you guys have questions for me.
I mean, you're the expert tonight,
Yes.
so.
You're married though, aren't you?
But yes, but you're the expert tonight. So here we go.
Lord
If
of
I need to
mercy.
like, if there are questions for me, I'll answer it as well. And people in the comment section, please feel free to put your questions in. We're here to answer them for you. You have
Okay.
people on the screen. So you can go ahead and ask your questions and we can answer them for you. Go ahead, Kayla.
Okay.
Okay, my question for Camille is what kind of communication methods do you guys use to keep the marriage healthy? Because I know
Massive,
communication is a big part of marriage.
massive.
So,
And listen, I'm the talker in my relationship. Like you guys can tell that I'm a chatterbox, right? I would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. My husband, not so much. Um, there are days when I literally have to pull out conversations out of my husband. Um, so because I know that I'm the talker, if there's something that needs to be talked about, I'm the one who would set the platform, right? I'm the one who ekes that out of my husband, the conversation. But communication is really a big part of our relationship. I try to talk about everything with my husband. My husband, not so much. Sometimes I have to pull it out of him because um, sometimes I would know that he wants to talk about something because of his body language, or I would feel it in a kiss, or you sometimes you see that hesitation, or sometimes he would come to me, and sometimes he would come and I would hear him coming, and he'd be like, "Babes," and by the time he enters into my space, he would probably see my face, and then him just ask me something random, and I would know right away that that's not what you wanted to ask me. What did you want to talk about? And then with a little coaxing, he would come around. I say that to say this, that sometimes we're in relationships and our partners don't talk to us because we don't make ourselves that approachable. Our face already say, you know what, I'm not the one, not today. And so our partners don't talk to us because we don't make ourselves approachable. So I have been trying, guys, and let me tell you, when you talk about a strong female, I am too strong. Like literally too strong. I don't chill when I'm supposed to chill. I don't take a back seat when I'm supposed to take a back seat. I over assert my independence all the time, every day, all day. It takes a strong man to be with me. So kudos to my husband if you're listening, Drew. You have balls, literally have balls. So it's tough. Communication can be tough because I'm so strong-willed and I'm so tongue in the cheek stubborn. But I've been trying to become more intentional these days to say, you know what? I need to make this space. I need to create this space. I need to put this thing, have this presence where I make myself approachable. So that if my husband or my child ever wants to talk, they don't have to feel afraid coming to me. Hope I answer your question.
Did you
yes, girl,
answer,
you
Kayla?
answered my question.
I'm gonna go back to when Tamara says you are the dominant one. Um, I want to go back a little bit to when you first met at that. I want you to tell us a little bit about your first date.
It cannot go on public TV.
What?
It,
What was your first date, Camille? Come on.
no, it can't go on public TV. It's embarrassing. Oh, Jesus.
This is
Oh,
the
boy.
truth about marriage. Come, let's
Anyway,
talk about it.
anyway, on our first date, we went to a restaurant. Went to a restaurant, and I guarantee you, the night we went, the menu had everything that we didn't eat. Everything that we didn't eat. So that night they had like lobsters and shrimp, everything that we didn't eat. Lobsters, shrimp, all them exotic seafood. They had seafood night. So of course we were there already. Of course we were there already. So we decided that you know what, we were gonna eat. I was gonna get something to eat because there was nothing there to eat. So he was like, "You could take something. I could sit it out because we could just talk and you could take something." So I took spaghetti. Took spaghetti. Took spaghetti, people. Took spaghetti. Listen, this spaghetti come up to about $100. Just spaghetti. Just spaghetti with a little cilantro and a little blue cheese and whatever. Came up to $100. No, we didn't. Where the beach is, it's out on the sand, so you couldn't drive into it. So we had to park way out on the road and walk into this beach house restaurant, whatever. Walked in there, had some spaghetti that cost us maybe $130. The waitress comes with the bill. My husband goes into his wallet to pay for the spaghetti. It's spaghetti, only to see that the spaghetti is $130. My husband did not have $130 in his wallet, in his pocket. Didn't have $130 in his pocket. So I felt bad because now he had to go back to his car and to come back. So you know what? I offered to pay. So that's it. I offered to pay.
See, you asserted dominance already. You could not just relax and wait for him to go
No,
back.
no, I couldn't. I couldn't. So I offered to. I don't, you know what? I asked him about it a couple years after if he was embarrassed about it. He said he felt away, but no, we laugh about it. So it's no biggie.
How did you know that things were getting serious, that it was going towards the point of getting married?
When my husband met me, my aunt who raised me had a terminal illness. He had a terminal illness. So I was an emotional wreck when my husband met me. And one day people can contact me when they're on live, man. Folks, I'm on live. Please wait on, take a ticket and wait. Anyway, so one day he came by the house and he had a gift for me. And in the gift, the gift was a card. The gift was a card and a clock. I need to remind my husband later. I wonder if you remember this something here. He used to be romantic, I don't know what happened to the young man. Anyway, he had a gift and a card. And in the card, he wrote this whole long epistle telling me about holding on and being strong for my aunt and whatever. And just cheering me up. And then he gave me the clock. And I was like, in my head, I was like, who gives a girl a clock for a gift? And he was like, and this clock symbolizes the time. That time symbolizes time for us. For with us, time will never run out. And some crap about clock and time or whatever. And we're going to last forever and whatever. so I knew then that he was a keeper because that gift was just because. And the clock, I've never seen it. Like, in my head, it was unconventional, but what he said about the clock and time for us and how we will last forever and our time will not run out and so I'm like, you know what? This guy's a keeper. But one day I said, we were driving we were in Turks and Caicos. We were driving across the island and we were talking about children. And I said, I wanted one kid. And he said, okay, fine. I would have wanted more. I was like, you know what? I don't want to disclose here, but I've always wanted just one kid. And me wanting one kid, me wanting one boy child is just deeper than what people see. So I'm going to put the spoiler out there. I get kind of ticklish and angsty when people tell me, are you going to have another kid or when are you going for the girl? I get kind of angsty because me having one kid and really wanting a boy is really deep-seated with me. It's something that I haven't spoken about to people. So when I said that to him and he was able to stand up to that and he was like, okay, we will have one kid and I pray to God that he will be a boy and all that. And I'm like, I don't know if I could get anybody who understands me like that. So I knew we were getting there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nikki, jump into the mix and throw your first ball.
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Nicole, jump in and throw your first question. Christopher still trying to connect people.
Why poor Christopher? Christopher need to borrow Tamara internet.
So, Camille, what you guys do like for fun and to keep the fire burning?
For fun or to keep the fire burning? Because keeping the fire burning is different from doing the
For both. For fun, and
Why are you doing that, man? Why are you doing that? In my house, we do a lot of play. We laugh at each other. We poke fun at each other. We Oh, by the way, guys, when my husband met me, I was a domino player. Like, guys, I love dominoes, and my husband is a soccer player. So, well, he's had an accident over the years. So he had an accident some time ago. So he's no longer playing soccer because his doctors warned him not to. But I used to for soccer. I used to go watch him, and I used to make myself understand the soccer game so that I could enjoy with him. Now I have what is it? I have recruited him into dominoes. So we play a lot of dominoes. We play a lot of card games. We laugh and talk. We poke fun at each other. It's I feel like I live with two children. All three of us are children inside this house. Um, we don't like to eat out for many reasons. Usually when I eat out, my stomach gets sick. So we don't like to eat out, but we just hang out together. We just enjoy doing anything together. Anything. I feel like I like traveling. My husband is not a traveler, but I feel like he has accommodated that. So now I see that he wants to travel because I want to travel because he's not a traveler. But he would travel just because of me. So we travel, we hang out together, just hanging out together. And I think we're able to do this because I actually like my husband. Like I like him. If he was not my husband, I would have liked him. So he's my friend. So we're able to hang out together, right? Yes, Tamara, you have the best internet in Turkey. But
Um,
guys, we just moved here a year ago. We just moved there last July, so we're now in a bigger place where there are more things to do. So I can't wait for us to be able to do more things. So we just moved here last July, and then Corona came about, and so um, things are just opening up, and we're finding things to do. But I'm waiting for the time when we can find more things to do with less inhibitions. But we
so
enjoy just hanging out together.
That's
I want
And
to
of course, huh?
I want to welcome Christopher to the talk. He's on the phone
Oh,
because he's not able to come through on the video, guys, but he is here. Here,
hey
Christopher.
Chris,
Hey,
tell us
good
about this.
evening, family. Evening.
Are you guys hearing him?
Hello, you all hear me?
Yeah.
yeah, we
Okay,
can
good.
hear him.
Good. Sounds good. All
Oh,
right,
okay.
Chris. I am glad you were able to join us finally by some medium. Your internet
Tell
will not.
Camille not to say anything about my internet, right?
Listen, Tamara said she has the best internet in Turks. So
You know what? I cannot argue with that.
you're probably going to need to get some of Tamara Wi Fi.
No, Tamara is on the other side of Turk, so she's in the capital, so the
Oh,
countryside.
so you need to move.
She have friends down there, Chris. She have friends down there.
But she's in the
Um,
capital, but I'm in the tourist mecca. What she don't want to acknowledge, you know what? Yeah, give it to her. She has the best internet.
so, Chris, I want to ask you because I already asked Camille this question. Tell us how you met your wife.
Oh, I met my wife. Oh, all right. So, good evening, viewers. I'm sorry I'm not able to see you all. And ladies, you know, I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces on a Saturday evening. But due to COVID-19, my internet actually at this time got the virus. So, but nevertheless, we're perseverers to find a way around it. Oh, I met my wife. We worked together at a resort in 2000 and what was that? 2002, 2001, 2002, yeah, late 2001, early 2002. We worked together. I was working for Sandals. She came at the resort, and when she came there, of course, she being new, she didn't know her way around. And one day, I happened to see this beautiful young lady. She was kind of wandering around, like she was just trying to wet her feet to see what it was like. And of course, I walked over, being the gentleman that I am, and asked her if it was okay, if everybody was taking care of her. And she was a little bit hesitant because, you know, being a beautiful, I like to say a pretty girl. She was 26 at the time. And just coming into that type of environment, she was a little bit hesitant to see this guy just walk over, and I just started showing her around, started to be there and talk to her, get her a little bit more comfortable with the environment. And I mean, I think from there we kind of became friends. Yeah, because of course she was new, so she obviously didn't have any friend in the hotel. And we became friends and started talking. It was always about church and God. Yeah. Until one day I decided, you know what, this is a real pretty girl. And I like her. I like her style. I like her or she reasons. And I decided, you know, decided to ask her one evening, which was just a drama. Because of course she said no. And she gave me all the reasons in the world why that was not possible. Of course, me not knowing to die and give up, I'm going to give her all the reasons in the world why we should just go out and enjoy the evening. So that's how we met. That was pretty much our first interaction. And being there she was there for about a year and a half after that. Yeah, so we would have been seeing each other every day pretty much. Yeah, so I found excuses to go and see her. Yeah, so that's how we met.
So, Chris, tell us about
not the fairy tale. Not the fairy tale, me.
Olana, more I hear about your first date. Tell us about your first date when it actually happened.
Okay. Our first date was at Margaretaville. It was a double date, actually. Well, you know what? I probably termed it as a date, but I'm sure she did not term it as a date. She just termed it as this guy asked me out, and so she probably did not term it as a date, in a date. But I have another friend of mine who you know very well, Charlene, and she was staying with me at the time. And I said, hey, let's go out. And I have a friend that I would want to go out with also. And it's a perfect excuse to get her because a female would have been there. You know, like I said, she was always doubtful and giving you all the stories why it was not possible. So no, she was more comfortable having another female. I think that she was a little bit hesitant because of the trust and being a Christian. And Christians believe that, listen, if you're going to go out and, well, at that time, you have to have a witness because she might just get lucky and want to kiss me. So.
Listen.
Oh, my God. So, but yeah, so that we went out our first date. We went to Margaretaville. We just had dinner. It was where we just sat, we talked. It was like a getting to know you. It was just a sitting down, talking about life, talking about Christianity. Like I said, most of the conversation was about Christianity, and then it reached over into what you want to do with your life and all of that. And so it was. It wasn't anything like, oh, you young people today where you go on all those crazy rides and you go all the magic hunts and all. No, it wasn't like that. It was just a normal go out, and we talked, eat, and yeah, and then I wished her home. Then I took her home later in the evening.
So Chris Tamara said, Chris, you work hard for Maisie. She never did give it up. So
I did. Let me tell you, I did work very, very hard. And let me tell you one of the drama. I remember there was a flood in Ocherias. And that time communication is not like now. It was when you had the phone box. Yeah. I don't know if you all remember those.
Of course.
You don't know the phone box.
That you line up and make a line up. Yes.
Right.
With the world talk.
So, for those of you that know Ochi very well, just in front of Burger King, there was a phone box right there. And it was a Sunday evening. And of course, where I was living, I didn't have cell phone, but she had a house phone at the time. You know, when house phone was a thing, she had a house phone. And I went to the phone box about 6 o'clock in the evening because now I'm starting to like this young lady and wanting to talk to her. Not, of course, I'm Jamaican, so nobody checks on the weather. And I'm telling you this, I was in that phone box and it started to rain. And it rained. I was there from probably after 6 o'clock. And I was marooned there for probably 5 hours. the water started to come up all the way to my knee, and I could not move. And I was there, and she was asking, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm okay." Trying to be the strong man and to say I'm okay. And it just got really, really crazy. So at most of the times she couldn't even hear me because it was raining so heavily. So she put me through all of that. I was in that phone box like for hours.
Well, she never put you through it, Christopher. She never put you through it. You put yourself through it, and you got callbacks.
You see the challenge with having all women and the thing. She put me through it. And then, funny enough, because it was so bad that the water was coming off the hill from Fern Gully. So it was a major flood in Ochi at the time. And I mean, I was in the middle of it. And guess what? I didn't have a car. And I was supposed to, because I did not live in the heart of Ochi. And no taxi was on the road. And I could not go home because it was major flooding. I was on the road. I don't even quite remember. I know I had a taximan number, and then I called him. It wasn't working or something like that. But I was on the street for such a long time. I probably got home 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember how I got home, but it was crazy.
You know, that goes to show, ladies, when a man is interested, they will do any and everything. You don't have to ask them. Tamara say, you know how many boys me call from from boy box.
Oh, Tamara calling from phone box. That was why the guy.
Oh God, Jesus. Yeah. No, but yeah, the guys will do, and you know, single people, whatever. If a guy wants you and he's interested, he's gonna do anything. Yeah. Like how them said, it, man, we climb Maca tree and something. Then we actually climb the actual Maca tree. Is no joke. To get what they want.
Lyrics are old, outdated now, though. Sorry.
Oh, listen, I've been out of the game.
Don't really work right now.
Listen, I have been out of the game for a long time. A very long time. I don't even remember how to date. So, we're gonna jump into some more serious questions about marriage, because of course marriage is not just the beautiful wedding day. And even the wedding day, sometimes a lot of people just see the walking down the aisle and stuff. They don't see the behind the scene drama that happens before you walk down the aisle. You know, there's no perfect wedding. There's absolutely no perfect wedding. Even though you see the bride walk down the aisle with a smile on her face, you have no idea what happened before she walked down that aisle. Like every wedding has its own drama. It's just something that never fails. But a lot of people put so much focus on the wedding day. They spend so much money on the wedding day. And after the wedding is done and the next day comes, that's when the real marriage starts. That's when the actual marriage starts, and that's when the work starts, because marriage is not easy. A lot of people look on the wedding day and think, oh, so beautiful. No. Yes, the day was beautiful, but there's a lot of work ahead in order to maintain that relationship, in order to maintain that monogamous relationship at that. That's constant work and effort on both parties. So what I want to ask, both of you, because I am the interviewer tonight, as well as my other co-host. I am not here for your questions tonight. Neither is Nicole. So you two are the experts tonight.
You're also a married woman.
Listen, you two are the experts tonight.
Expert.
Chris, we have been kidnapped.
My wife wanted to come and support me tonight. She's not a social media person, but she wanted. But you know what? I did not realize last week, because she works every other Saturday night, and tonight is the night that she works. So if it was last week or this week, then or next week.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it again, and we'll have all couples on here, talking and sharing gems. But talk to me about the day after the marriage. Because I know for me, like after we got married and we went back to the room, we looked at each other and we're like, this is it? There's no difference. Like, is this it? Like, what you know? Christopher upon video. Um, no, after we went back to the room, we look at each other and we're like, this is it? Like, it not feel different. This is it? It's like, all right, because it's like business as usual, right? Now we're just, we're living life. We're back to living life and stuff like that. How did you guys feel after you walk down the aisle and then you go back to your room and you're by yourself with your spouse? What was that feeling like? Anybody can go first. Camille, go first.
Listen, in 2008, I don't remember what hurricane it was, but we had an August date for our wedding. Then a hurricane came, and so we had to postpone the wedding. We postponed the wedding to December, so we didn't have much time. So I literally went home. We literally stayed in Turks, planned the wedding in Jamaica at a hotel. We went home the 20. No, my husband went home before me, like a week before me, but I was only able to leave the day before the wedding. So I went down on the 22nd and was supposed to get married on the 23rd. My dress couldn't fit me, so I was frustrated, top, bottom. Dress couldn't fit because I tried the dress maybe in April, and this was my second time trying the dress on the 22nd of December. The dress didn't fit. The dressmaker had to work.
Can you adjust your earphone? You're sounding far.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the dressmaker had to make miracles.
You sound like a robot now.
Okay, let me see.
There you go. There you go.
Are you hearing me?
Go again.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, went down on the 22nd of December. Was supposed to get married on the 23rd. Dress couldn't fit. By this time, frustration was high. Our photographer, something came up, and I think he had an accident, so we had to get a new photographer in a couple hours. And so you can imagine I was frustrated. So I literally had to make myself go through this wedding day and look good and look happy, but my frustration was at its peak. I said before, after the wedding, and I went back to the room, and it hit me that I had just legally joined myself to another human being. I cried. I'm like, God, what have I done to myself? And my husband came in after me, and he heard me sniffling, and he's like, babes, what happened? And I'm like, the room is too cold. I'm like, it's making my eyes water. listen, drama. I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't want to be married. I don't want to be joined to anybody. When the magnitude of it hit me, I'm like, whatever I do from here on is not Camille. It's gonna be Camille and Drew. And it took some getting used to. Like that night, I didn't sleep. Honestly, I didn't sleep, and we didn't have sex because I whispered that with my lips, man.
What? No. Everybody has a conception that after you spend the entire day parading in front of people in the wedding gown and hot and all them something there, that you're supposed to go back to your honeymoon suite after everybody left now, whatever, like midnight. You're supposed to go back there and you're supposed to have this fireworks.
No.
It does in real life. No. It doesn't happen for everybody.
No, listen.
I mean, I didn't have sex on my wedding night, but that's besides the point. I was tired.
I didn't. We didn't. 100% didn't. And that was when I realized that I got married to the right person, because he spent the whole night trying to calm me, because after I started opening up, and I'm like, I want to be married to you. I'm in love with you, but the reality of this is hitting, and it's hitting really hard. And I realized that, you know what? It's going to take work. So he spent the whole night just cuddling, reassuring me that I had made the right decision and all of that. The next morning, we were out by 6 o'clock on a flight to New York. It was just a whirlwind.
You didn't need a rest. What you say, Chris? Talk to me.
Look here. You were tired. I was tired. But my God, I waited too long for the cookie.
I'm dead. Oh my God.
I was exhausted, but I would not miss that for the world.
I
But
am dead.
you know, after this girl has been
Christopher, they
holding you
were
out forever.
thirsty.
And
What,
you hearing me?
what,
And you
I,
know what? You know what, Chris? That's the beauty of it. Listen, don't judge me now. That's what happens, and that's the beauty of not touching the cookie until the day off.
of course not. Of course not.
of course,
I'm not judging you at all. Of course.
there's nothing
Yet,
wrong with it.
Yeah,
no,
man. Don't touch the
absolutely.
cookie until the day off.
Oh my God. Yeah, but
So,
Yeah.
Christopher, what happened the night? What happened after everybody, after we all left? Because we stayed there for quite a bit. So, what happened after we all left? Christopher Gano, it got
Oh,
again.
Christopher, man.
Until he comes back. But no, there's a lot of people that after they get married, they just go to sleep because they're tired. Like the wedding day is stressful on its own. Christopher, you're back. Yes, talk to me.
Christopher
What
not
did
back.
in you just come back? Like a lot of
He's
mercy.
he's frozen.
okay.
There you go,
I
Christopher.
am back. I am back. It's been crazy. It was always bad, but I mean since last night it's been terrible.
It's been
Yeah,
better.
my but which I love you so much. Yeah, but you know what? And my wedding day, of course, exhausted. Yeah, after wedding day, but like Camille, we had to reschedule because I had a very interesting situation. My wife is a kind of a traditional wife where you have to go and meet the parent. My and they have to give you the okay. She always said to me, "Oh, how comes I never chop any wood and all of that?" Um, so I didn't know my wife's parent. Um, I knew two of her sisters, but her mom was living in the States. And but guess what? Unlike most people who have one mother, she had two. No, I have to get a clearance on both parents. You know what? The biological mother was an easy thing because I just put on my charming suit and go over there and went to the house and being the nice gentleman that I am. And you know, every parent want a gentleman for their daughter and all of that. And went and introduced myself and put a. I was very um slick and elegant, you know, because you got to put on a. It's the first time meeting the parent, and that was actually the time when I'm gonna say, hey, listen, I want to take your daughter and in marriage. And you know what? It was much easier than I thought. After we talked for a long time, and I just said, you know what? For me, if you two love each other and you want and you believe that that's what you want to do, you get my blessings, of course you get my blessings. And but however, she has another mother that of course you would have to talk to. My God. I'm like, what? Because I know my wife always talk about this aunt that I have never met also, because she lived in the States also. But she grew her. So she was like her mother. No, of course I had to when she came to wait until she came to Jamaica, because of course we were not traveling at the time. Now when she came to Jamaica, I read this woman speak is spooky. She's not like, and she is very eye colored. So when I met, I saw a pic and all of that, but I never and speak to her on the phone and all of that. When I went to her, man, I was trembling in my boots. I was never trembling when it was the mother, but when I got to her, it was just like a fear came upon me. And she came over to me and said, I know you came here to tell me something, but already I speak with Carmen, and Carmen tell me the type of person, and you have my blessing. And that was I mean, it took me from I don't know where, but it just bring me back right where I wanted to be. So it made life so much easier. And we talked and all of that. But that moment, just to face her, that was real difficult. I don't remember since then I've ever felt that fear and trembling
Christopher, you did go on good, you know. You did go on good. Fear and trembling, I thought, is what he was going to say. There you go, Christopher. Finish now.
Yeah. But fast forward,
Listen.
not live together because we are Christians and we didn't live together. And of course, the first thing that my wife did that Sunday, she decided to cook because we did not go anywhere. We stayed home because we were supposed to go on at Sandals and we had some issues, so we had to put it on hold. We stayed home. The woman cooked. And when the woman cooked that Sunday, the woman, that's the first day after the wedding, put pepper in my food. And that pepper, I thought it was meat. And I bite on it. Gee whiz. And it was so hot. And let me tell you, I wanted to take the papers and tear it up right there and then. And I said, you're mad. Just, I said, give me pepper. And she was sitting across the table and her eyes are big, huge eyes. This sounds like a Jesus house going. And she opened her eyes at me. And I tell you, when my wife opened those big eyes, I bring some, and I looked at her. I said, "You're mad? Oh, you must give me pepper to eat." And she was laughing now. Then she started laughing, and are you laughing? And she just keep laughing. And then something came over me and said, "Oh, you realize you're a married man right now?" And then I went over and I said, "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I freaked out." And she said, "It's okay. I understand." Obviously, I didn't even, because she didn't even know that I didn't eat pepper. I didn't like spicy food like that. She didn't know like it. I mean, a little bit of spice is okay, but hot real pepper, my God. And I mean, it was like I let it go quickly, and we moved on. So that first encounter was the first time we almost fight. Almost, if I got the paper to divorce her at that time, I probably would be married today. Yeah,
Almost
but
right. Listen.
well, almost. I tell you about later. I tell you about when we really, really almost fight.
I want to keep you, sir. No, sir. Nicole, I know we're not on the hot seat, but I want you to tell me, like, what did it feel like after the vows? Let me mute that. Yeah, after the vows and everything, like, what did it feel like after that when you got married?
For me,
Yes.
well, actually, like me and my husband, we've been together in a total of 20 years, and we've been married for like 5. So, like, after the vows and everything, we didn't feel any different because we basically we're just coming like brothers and sisters because we've been together so long, right? So it didn't
Those
feel
are brothers and
any
sisters.
different.
Those are brothers and sisters.
Yeah. No, because like I don't know if you understand because of so
Better if
long
you
you've been
friend.
together with the person. It's like there's there's nothing new, like
Listen, it
except
better
to the
if
fact
you
that you have
friend.
the paper and the ring.
Lord, so I mean, there's a lot of years of marriage on the screen. Before I ask this question, Kayla, jump in with one of your questions.
Yeah. So, for everyone who is on the hot seat, how do you deal with conflict in your relationship?
Christopher, you almost fighting us, so how you deal with it? You're mute. Hold on. You're mute, Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. We almost fight. Almost in the middle of the bed, and she again her big eyes. When she rolled that big eyes, I held her hand and she said, "If you ever," and I lift my hand in the air, if you can see me like this, to slap her. And she said, "If that come down, it will be the last time I come down with a look." And then something grabbed me. Am I gonna hit my wife? because what happened? We had a disagreement. I don't ask me what the disagreement was. I don't remember. But and that was early in our marriage. That was probably a year or so. I don't remember what the disagreement, but I almost hit her, and she don't fight back. She's not that type of person. She's not. But at that time, she opened her eyes and said, "If that hand come down, it's the last time it will come down like that." And she said so firmly and she said so strongly. And let me tell you, and for those who are listening, if the man lift him hand off of you, be firm with the man. Don't go on like you're a fool. Because my wife was firm with me, and it just sent a message to my brain that listen, this woman, my wife, she's very affectionate, she's very soft. But at that time, I saw somebody tough. I saw somebody who is not just going to just allow you to just slap her. Yeah? How we deal with conflict? One of the things that we pledged years ago is that we're not going to go to bed, yeah,
Exactly.
um, at each other. So regardless of what happened, we try to, and in fact, I sometimes provoke my wife to conflicts because I love the makeup. I absolutely enjoy the makeup. A lot of times I do that. So you can know that I'm a little bit of troublemaker. And I love that time that comes after. Yeah. But what we do, we talk about everything. Yeah. Even if at that moment we're in some real hot waters and it gets real. One, what we never do, we don't accuse each other. We don't call each other names. We don't involve anybody else in that. Whatever happens between my wife and I, it stays between my wife and I. I'm not gonna call my mother, or call my sister, and call my no. And she doesn't do that. We both of us we resolve our conflicts by ourselves. We sit down and we talk about it. Sometimes I'm not the one. I don't get upset very long. I would see that look on her face, and I would throw something at her, throw a pillar in her, and sometimes I say, "Hey, come here, babes, come let me just kiss you up and give you what you want." And she kind of come out with a little laugh, and she said, "Me serious, you know, me serious," and I said, and I'll just take off my shirt and say, "You want this, don't you?" And I can't say everything on it, but we have our way that we do our thing. That you even though we had a conflict, we spice it up, and like I said, we turn it around. I would try to turn it around very quickly because we understand that. Listen, if you allow this thing to grow, yeah, you're gonna have problems. So
Christopher freeze. And the spice so I try bring.
must be
Camille,
completed today.
oh, there you go. Lord have mercy. So, Camille, how do you resolve yeah, how do you resolve conflict?
And you know what? Most of the conflicts that we have um, in our relationship, and we don't have many, is usually I'm the cause of that because most of our conflicts will resolve around me just being strong headed, um, not my husband would come with an idea and I just elevate my idea over his, and that would cause a conflict, of course, because then he doesn't feel valued, right? He feels like his ideas are not valued. So most of our conflicts is around that. How we resolve our conflicts in our early years, I realized that my husband was super good at holding a grudge, and he would hold a grudge for a day, 2 days. And if I don't go back and break the ice, we could literally go for a week without saying a word to each other. But I realized that, you know what? I, I said to myself, you know what? If we're going to live in a house, there's no way I'm going to live in a house, sleep in a bed with someone that I'm not talking to. And so I'm usually the one going back or trying to break the ice and trying to clear the air. And it would normally work until one day I had a heart to heart with my husband. I'm like, you know what? I don't think if we're husband and wife, we said we're in love, and then you're going to hold a grudge and you're able to hold that grudge for 2, 3 days. It can't work because I'm not sleeping in a bed with you if you're not talking to me. All right. Because I'm not a prostitute. So thank God that has corrected itself. Just 2 days ago, I was having this conversation with Drew, and I said to him, I said, "Do you realize that we don't argue?" Because we were watching something, and I was like, "You realize that we don't argue? Like, we really don't argue." And then I said to him, "It doesn't mean, though, that there is peace. Because the absence of war doesn't mean that there is peace.
True.
So I had to break that down. I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't argue because you let me have my own way. And sometimes I don't want to have my own way. I want you to have an input. I want, if I come to you and I say, well, you know what? This is white. I want you to say, well, you know what, babes? I don't think it's white. I think that's black. Let's have a conversation. But just because you want peace doesn't mean that you're going to avoid conversations because you want peace. Because in the end, that's not peace. We just don't argue because we're not talking about stuff that can give an argument. So if for us, it's about having open conversations, being open to the fact that, you know what, I want to say this. This is what I want to give, but it might cause an argument. It might cause a conflict. But if a conflict comes, then we're going to deal with it. I am not. I know the Bible says that don't go to bed on your wrath. Is it the Bible that says that?
That's
Pastor
it.
Christopher, is it the Bible that says don't go to bed on your wrath?
Yeah, don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
You know what? I don't think that's, in my head, I don't think that's a literal sun. I don't know. Because in my head, I just feel like when you have some conflicts, I don't think you should force the resolution. Right? Because something might happen and right then and there, I just don't think it's the appropriate time to deal with it. So we might have a conflict and I know very well that something is up. There's an elephant in the room and that we should deal with it. But I intentionally choose not to deal with it at that point so that we sleep on it. I might need a couple of days to clear my head. I might need a week to let this pass. Then I can come back to it. Because you know what? If I deal with it right away, my mouth might not cooperate and I might say things out of context. And so I have intentionally let things go on by. And listen, let me tell you folks out there, don't you ever, ever buy a king size bed in your relationship. Because you're able to sleep on one little corner over there, so, and him over one next corner over there, so, and you have a whole bed in the middle.
I think it's
Camille,
It's
I only have
it's
king size
dangerous.
bed. You see, I'm a big guy. I never
Dangerous,
had
man.
anything except a king size.
King size bed is
You see,
dangerous.
see,
Dangerous.
it's a big house that is super dangerous.
How? King
I don't,
size bed is dangerous, man. You can't sleep on one edge over here, so you have a whole literal bed in the middle of you, and the next one each up on the edge over there, so
know, but
very dangerous.
I'm gonna tell you, no matter how upset either of us might be, when I am ready to go to sleep, I am coming all the way over your on your side. So you can be mad, but just know that where I normally sleep is right there, and I am coming right there to sleep. So you can be mad if you want, but I need to sleep, and that is my comfort, and I am getting my comfort. That is all I have said. When it comes to my sleep, upset
Kadian,
But
or
yeah, and
Kadian is saying some conflicts need time to cannot be resolved. Oh, this is it can't be resolved immediately. We need time to cool on, and that's what I'm practically saying. So,
but that
sometimes I know if I deal with it right away, it's gonna make the situation worse. So I need time for it to cool out for us to get back to it and work it out. And it has worked. It has worked.
that might
so.
be
Go ahead, Christopher.
Sometimes,
that is true, but that is how long you because you see, like I said, we don't allow that to happen to us because we have never had that conflict. Sometimes you might have some really serious issues that you're right to say that you might need time to think about how you're gonna approach it. So I agree to that extent. But for me, the first thing, as quickly as it's possible, if you have a situation, don't allow it to grow because you know sometimes when you allow you think when you allow it to grow, it becomes a bigger issue. And then what might happen sometimes, the person might do something that offend you in that period, and that one issue multiplies, and then you realize, hey, it now becomes a big thing because so I don't have a problem with allowing it to wait, depending on what the thing is. But if you can address it immediately, I would say address it immediately.
So somebody has a question. Somebody asking.
sometimes,
Go ahead. Go
so,
ahead, Nicole.
yeah, sometimes if you deal with the problem, like when you're angry, you might say things that you don't mean. So I find that it's better to wait until you're cool down, then you address the situation. Because attacking the problem when you're totally upset might cause it to be an even bigger problem. So sometimes it's better to just cool off a little bit, especially for me, because like
Yeah, it
I
has.
am Yeah, so I just wait until I'm in that right place, and then I just talk it out afterwards.
Yeah,
Somebody
can I
has a
say something?
one second.
You
Somebody
know,
one
okay.
second. Somebody has a question. And what if you need to be away physically?
You know, so Nicole said that her head hot and my mouth not join church. So sometimes I need the time to cool down. The fact of the matter is, though, Charlene, whenever spouses have a conflict, it is wrong to assume that the other partner is ready to talk about it or to work it out. It's wrong to assume that because you might be ready to talk about it, to work it out, and the other partner is just not ready. The other partner is just not in a place to do that. So I think, and one of the things I've been practicing is like, we have a disagreement. Would you like to talk about it, Drew? Sometimes he says yes, sometimes he says no. If he says no, fine. When you're ready, just let me know and we can talk about it. So I think we shouldn't assume that the other party wants to deal with it at the moment. Sometimes do you have to physically remove yourself? No. One agreement that we have in our relationship is that if you want to physically remove yourself, you physically remove yourself in the home. If you get mad,
Can you explain that?
you're not allowed to leave the house. And that's in our relationship. And it works. So no matter how mad you get, you're not allowed to go through the door. You're not allowed. But you can remove yourself into another part of the house, but you're not leaving the and it has worked.
I have a comment here. Some personalities cannot handle you not being around while you are upset. The
Mhm.
assumption is that you are away doing greater
Yes.
damage, which is true. Which is true.
And
And
Charlene,
go
and
ahead.
if you're upset and you go through the door, listen, a million and one devils out there to catch you. And because you're upset, you don't think clearly. So, and that is why we have that rule. Call it a rule, call it a law. You get upset in my house, you don't leave the house. Move yourself, go downstairs, go into another place, but don't leave the house. It has worked over the years, and I like it.
I think for me, when it comes down to and I always say that like we don't argue, like which is like I can't think of anything major where we had to be like, oh, I need a timeout or I need a pause. Like we literally don't argue. If we do have difference of opinion on something, it's never anything great that requires me to not be right beside you when I'm ready to sleep because that is very important to me because I can't fall asleep unless that's happening. So and I've always been the one if we have a dispute or whatever, I'm the one that wants to talk about it right away. I'm not the one that wants anything to simmer. I am listen, this is how I am. I know that sometimes you need to give it time or whatever. I don't give it no time. Like I am right there and we're talking about it now because I want to be over and done with it and move on. So that's
Your partner might not be ready.
reality. Well, he gets ready. We talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
And
I mean,
different relationships. I
yeah.
think different relationships are different because you have your way of dealing with your conflict. And like mine, like Charlene, my wife, there's never a time that she don't wants to cuddle. She cannot sleep if I'm in that bed and not cuddle.
Christopher. Right on the word cuddle. I mean, listeners, if you have any questions, please go ahead and share your questions. Share your questions so we can throw them in the mix. Um, we have a lot of years of marriage combined on the screen. How how do we manage to maintain um a successful marriage? So many years. We're being with one partner. How have you each individually managed to maintain your relationship through the ups and the downs and the in between? What's that one thing that keeps you coming back together? Go, Camille.
Oh, okay. Um, let me tell you, girl, marriage is not is not one size fits all, and you know what, at some point in our marriage, whether your marriage, my marriage, we listen to people and people give suggestions, and then you find out, then one day it hits you and it's like, you know what, your marriage is going to work based on what you try. It's like, I'm not going to say you know what, it's trial and error. It's what you try, what works, what doesn't work. But some lessons I have learned, and let me tell you something. When I tell you that in marriage, you have to be 100% selfless, because it's making those decisions every day, several decisions a day, dozens of decisions a day that says, you know what, it's all about you and not me. Decisions that say I love you and not I love me. So it's always been able to put that person above you. And I find out that works because, the minute, if say my husband does something and I feel like I'm gonna get upset and all that, and I try to practice the fact that, you know what, I try to put myself in his shoes and I say, you know what could have caused him to do that? Then I realize that I feel better about the situation. And that's something I have tried in other relationships too. Understand that why people act the way they act. I've also learned not to assume that my husband feels loved. So I don't go around feeling like, oh, you know what, I'm cooking. I make sure he gets a hot meal every day. I iron his clothes. I do all that I should do. I'm a great mom and all of that. But I cannot assume that he's happy. So I have to understand. I have to understand what makes him happy. So I think it was Tamara's show I was listening to the other day, and Tamara posted some tests, and I did the test, and it gave me a result of what my love language is, which we always knew. With me, my husband knows that gifts doesn't go anywhere with me. Like literally, if my husband is gonna give me a gift, he asks me what I want. And most times I don't want anything, but sometimes he would get it anyway. Other times he will just do something to create memories. So gift giving is not for me. For me, it's doing things. So you know that I'm coming home from work and you're home all day. Let me come home to dinner, right? Let me come home to you already. Help Tyler with his homework. So for me, it's acts of service, and he knows that. So I gave him that. We were in the bed, and I gave him my phone, and I was like, that's my love language. And he's like, I know it. And so I was like, he's like, do you know my love language? I said, yes. Your love language is you want sex morning, noon, and night. But and he was like, seriously? Do you think I really want sex morning, noon, and night? And I was like, you know what? Of a fact, it is important. I think as women, we're more concerned about our love language. And we just feel like if we're doing everything right, then the man feels loved. And then that's when it struck me that, you know what? Just maybe the things that I'm doing for my husband that I think he should feel loved about, maybe he's not feeling loved about those things. So I'm really intentional about getting to know what makes him happy and what makes him feel loved. Another thing too that I've been practicing, Charlene, you know, and I'm going to use an example to bring across the point I'm making. Like whenever I go to work and I come home and I see my son, it's like I'm seeing him for the first time. I mean, for the 11 years of his life, every single time I see my son, something bubbles up inside of me, and I'm so happy to see him. And I feel this overwhelming gush of love. And I said to myself, just maybe I should make myself have these feelings for my husband. Even though sometimes I don't like the guy. Sometimes the guy gets on my nerves. But, you know, I am learning to become intentional. I want to light up when I see him. So I'm becoming intentional about that. So I know he's coming home, even if I'm having a bad day, even if something happened this morning between us and I'm still cut off about it. I know he's coming home. Sometimes I fake it, but now I'm perfect at it. I make myself light up when he comes in. So that's how we maintain it. You know, there's the communication part, which I tell you, I'm the talker, and I'm learning to accept that he has a contribution to, and that they're valid, and it's just not me. And I'm learning to step back and let him be the man, which is pretty hard, but I'm learning to do that. So it's more of, I'm gonna say, like, the punch point I want to give is that every day I have to seriously make decisions, millions of decisions that says that, you know what, it's about you and it's not about me. It's I love you and not I love me. So I'm putting him above myself. And I think that's what's been keeping us.
Sounds good. Christopher look like him frozen.
In Frozen, man. I'm gonna think him of the pose there. In Frozen.
If- Nicole, what keeps the fire burning?
Poor
I think you have to
Christopher.
learn how to compromise. Like, find out what the other person likes and, learn to do what each other likes and what each other want. As Camille said,
Mhm.
try to, even though sometimes you might not like your husband, but find things to make you find the love again, each and every day. So just small things, get to know each other, share each other's thoughts, concern about each other. Communication is the key. So I think that's what makes the relationship every day better.
Absolutely. And Christopher is out of focus. Um, Kayla, what other questions do you have to ask these married folks? You're mute, Camille.
Can I make another comment? And I'm just putting it out there. And this is for any relationship. We have to learn to say we're sorry. So I'm saying, even though we're adults, we just can't go around doing things that hurt the other partner and just feel like, okay, he should understand that I did this because I was mad. No, it's okay. You can say you're sorry. And what I've been practicing is, and listen, it's quite easy for me saying these things to people. And oftentimes folks will come to me with their relationship problems and I give these advice, but I don't always live by them. Just so you know, guys, like I don't always live by these advice. And I have the best advice in the world. So one of the things I've been practicing, which doesn't always happen, is to be intentional about saying sorry. So I know I hurt my husband a million times a day. I hurt his feelings because my mouth is hard as hell. So my mouth speak out of context and my mouth speak faster than my brain works. And so I say things that hurt his feelings. So I just don't go and I just don't say I'm sorry. All right? I just don't say I'm sorry. Shara, that's a question for you from Christine. Why? Thank you, Christine. But what I've been trying to do is to be intentional. I am sorry for saying this. I am sorry for doing this. So you name what you're sorry for and how you plan to not do that again or to try not to let it happen again. Right? There's no guarantee that it won't happen again. But when you're intentional like that, the other person feels like you're authentic. And then the apologies are it's more readily accepted. That's what I find in my relationship.
I agree. Thank you, Mother, for that question. Um,
That's your mom?
yes.
I love your mom.
Like set up people, sure. What I feel like has kept us connected for so long. Me and my husband, we're pretty silly,
Question,
and
how long have you been married?
10 years. Um, we are pretty silly, and oftentimes with me and him, there's a side of us that nobody else gets to see but the two of us. Like, if you're around me, I'm pretty jovial and silly, but then the things we do around each other cannot be done in public. We're pretty silly, and we're always playing, we're always laughing. The other day I went to the supermarket and I saw cotton candy, and I took it up and I bought it, not for the kids but for him, because I know that he is going to love this cotton candy. And we play games, we try to have one-on-one time together, a lot of one-on-one time together without the kids, just us two. And I think, making time, being intentional while spending time together is extremely important. Yes, you have children, yes, you have the family, but it's also important, in order to nurture your relationship, you have to take time to just be with each other, so that you don't lose that, because you can lose it by focusing on the kids, and then your relationship just fizzles out because you forgot that you were in one. You know what I mean? So for us, it's just keep being silly around each other and just playing and just being intentional about spending time together. Um, so yeah, us time is definitely absolutely necessary. Kaden says we can't always assume. Sometimes they really need reassurance from their partner. Like I appreciate you and thank you. May seem small to us, but it can be make a big difference to them, which is true. And that is to your point, Camille. I'm going to tell you a little story. So the other day, I said to my husband, I'm like, I appreciate you. The man look at me like some come from Mars. So what that for now? It's like, what that for? Like, am I looking at say, wait, what you want? You know what I mean? But I could tell that he appreciated it, even though he looked at me that way. You can tell it's not something I say often, based on that reaction. But it definitely does help in your relationship when you do use these different affirmations when it comes on to your husband and that. Christopher is in the comment section because he lost connection. So he's in the comment section. Christopher, just type out what keeps your fire burning because I know you have a unique situation, long distance for majority of the year. What's this? Let me get that the first time. Oh, okay, right? The first time you said it too. That goes to show you that the things that we don't say.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it is true, Charlene, that encouragement sweetens labor. And it's not only with kids, it's also with your partner. So I said it before and I'm going to say it again. In my house, I don't do dishes. My husband is the one who religiously do the dishes. All right. If he's home, he religiously do the dishes. But I shouldn't take it for granted that he's the one who always does the dishes. So sometimes I turn to him, I'm like, you know what? Thank you for doing the dishes. Or I'd say, you know what, thank you for taking out the garbage, even though he's the one who does it religiously. But there are times when he'll be like, that made my day, even though he's the one who does it. So we just take it for granted that we're in a relationship. The man must say I'm supposed to do it anyway. The woman know that she's supposed to do that anyway. So let me not say thanks. Or
Don't.
let me not tell you that you're sexy or you look good in your clothes today or that meal that you did was pretty good. Let me tell you something, man. One of the best feelings in the world is when I cook. Like today I made lunch and my husband was like, "Whoa, this looked like some restaurant food." Listen, I instantly got wet, literally. Like you just
Hold
turn me
on,
on.
hold on. The juice dash your fire.
But no, man, what I'm saying is, don't, guys, seriously, man, I'm just saying that affirmations and those building up each other goes a far way. It goes a mighty long way, and it makes the bedroom situation so much easier because you feel like, you know what, it's just the icing on the cake.
Absolutely. That's so true. Why Camille? Now one they hold me a while ago. Listen. Sound like when Christopher wife upset and him a make the moves. Oh God, Christopher, I really wish that you had a stable internet connection so we could actually go deeper into this. Do you have any more questions, Kayla?
No, I was going to ask a question in regards to the love language, but Camille already brought it up. So I'm officially out of question.
Tamara, reach back. This is what Tamara come back. Tamara, did you hear the comment? Does anybody watching have any questions to ask? Anything as it regards to marriage? We already outlined that marriage is not like you've read in books. It's not a fairy tale. It's not happily ever after. It can be, but there are a lot of bumps on the road and struggles along the way. Um, Marriage is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful institution. I do believe in these times that people have marriage has lost its what do I want to call it? A lot of people take marriage as a joke these days. It's like you hop in one, don't work, you hop out, you hop to the next one, and you keep hopping around. A lot of people aren't sticking around to go through those rough times and those tough times with their partner. As soon as there's an issue, they just fall off. And we have to bring back the meaning to marriage. What is he saying? Tamara said Medea all along. I'm just starting, okay. Oh Jesus. But yeah, we have to, yes, and somebody is saying that it's lost its value and moral, which is true when it comes on to marriage. So for everybody that is out there that is married and has been married for a long time, stay strong. Marriage is not easy. It is a lot of work. Um, as someone said, it's
I
a
think
beautiful.
I think marriage is like climbing a mountain. When you start to climb the mountain, you have all the energy and you're fit and you're strong, but you have a goal at the top, and the closer you go is the tighter you get. But when you reach at the top of that peak, it's like you're like, wow, this is what I did all the walking for, getting all tired for, because you accomplished something at the end. So no matter how rough it gets in the midland, when you reach at the top, continue same way, and in the end, it's gonna work out.
Absolutely. I like Tamara said in the comment section, we're not saying if you are in a marriage and certain things arise that you're supposed to stay in it and suffer for the rest of your life. That is not the case, because there are certain situations where I believe once that happens, if there's abuse, I believe you should exit stage left. I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm going to sit and work through abuse. I am no. You got one time, and that's it. um but I mean, what I've seen lately, some issues that some people might get divorced over, or i don't like I don't like that you like meat, or I don't like, it's like some trivial stuff where I'm like, you can work through these things. Like a marriage is when I got married, and I told my husband, I'm not getting a divorce. So I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm not getting a divorce. So whatever issues we have, as long as it's not XYZ, we're going to work through it and we're going to figure it out, because that's what a marriage is. That's the institution of marriage. It's two different individuals coming together to be one, two separate ideals, two separate upbringings, two different lifestyle in general coming together to find that one commonality. Tamara said both parties must want and need their marriage for it to work. True. Kaden says sometimes you have to love the person enough to let them go if the relationship is wrong. That is also true. No one wants to compromise anymore. I'm just reading comments, guys. No one wants to compromise anymore. Tamara, you can weigh in. Not Tamara, Lord Jesus. Camille, may I call you Tamara?
We're one and not the same. When you see me, you see tomorrow, and vice versa.
I'm gonna have you
Um,
weigh in on this now.
Let me say, I had something to say, but let me weigh in on that. Girl, sometimes a lot of people, a lot of us get into relationships, and before we get into relationships, get into marriage, we see the red flags. And I don't know what it is, but for some reason we think that if this sauce was causing a problem before we got married, when we get married, the sauce is going to sort itself out.
Right?
And it's not true. Because you know what? Marriage complicates the situation. It complicates it. Marriage is beautiful, but it actually complicates your situation. So the first hint of anything you see that you think you will not be able to live with, don't let it slip and slide, and then you enter into marriage and hope that when you go into marriage, it's going to change. No. And I say that to say this. I have friends who they saw anger before they got married. They saw anger. They saw abuse. They saw everything you can name. And yet still they're like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to say this for the record. Marriage is not something you give a try. Like if you're not sure about it, don't go into it because it's complicated. Because now you're not only getting your body entangled, it's your mind, it's your heart, and then it hurts. It's and that is why some people are not. It's not easy for some folks to walk away. For others, they walk away, but it takes years to walk away, and that it's walking away, but yet still a part of you have died in this relationship that you shouldn't have been in the first place. So that's what I want to say about that. Just want to say about that. Is there a guarantee? And listen, I pray that all of us here who are married will live together forever until we're old and gray and able to sip coconut without teeth. But is there a guarantee that our marriages will last? There's no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee. I could wake up tomorrow and I just suddenly feel like I don't want to be with my spouse. A lot of things could be at play. It could be illness. It could be mental health. It's many things that come into play. And that is why marriage takes so much work. Takes so much work. And one of the things too, and I think this is going to be my last comment, so let me just put it all in there. You know, before marriage, we go into premarital counseling. But for some reason, we go into premarital counseling, but for some reason, we don't think we should get postmarital counseling. We think that if we're not talking about divorce or killing each other, we shouldn't go into counseling. The fact of the matter is, even if your marriage is okay and it's blissful, you need to be counseled. So you can seek counseling, because counseling is not just about mending. It's also about strengthening. So that's something couples can do. It can be one of the things you do as a couple. Get regular counseling, regular therapy. Just for you to appreciate each other more, to maintain your relationship. Your marriage doesn't have to be in crisis to go into counseling. My comment that I wanted to say before I commented there, I think some married people, and this is when I wasn't married. This is the impression I got from married people. Like marriage was 100% bliss. It was the most beautiful thing on earth. And you're always going to be happy, and the sex is always going to be great, and every time he touches you, you're always going to turn jello, and his penis is always going to be hard. Listen. Listen. Let me tell you something, girl. Let me tell you something. There are days when I'm like, what do I really do? Like, there are days when I can't, he knows, I could say it out public. There are days when I can't stand my husband. But that's what makes up our marriage. Because he's another human being and I'm another human being. Of course, there are going to be days when I can't stand to do it. There are going to be days like that. But again, you're going to successfully navigate that so that you can have a functional relationship. There are days when things are going to get boring too. Yes, I said it. And for all of us here and all of us who are married, who want to pretend like we always have fun in the bedroom and we always have fun in our relationship, I don't think it's true. I'm here to say that publicly. I don't think it's true. There are times when it gets boring. The mundane things in life, the children come about, you find that you're more invested in the kids. It gets boring sometimes. And I think that's when a lot of marriage tend to break down, because now there are days when you don't feel that initial butterflies anymore. See what I'm saying? There are days when it might take 3, 4, 5, 6 touch before you start feeling like a tingle, or you start get wet and you start feel like you want something. And there are days when you don't feel like you want to be desired. I don't know if you guys, I might be preaching to the choir here.
No,
I
you're
think
talking.
you're in. I think you should revisit your profession. I think a
Listen,
little
man,
counseling,
there
a
are
little
days when you do,
counseling thing.
listen. No, I have a counseling background. So, Charlene, there are days when I don't desire, and there are days when I don't want to be desired.
True.
See what I'm saying? So it's not all bliss. And those are the times when things get boring. It gets boring, and you feel like, you know what? Maybe I'm in the wrong relationship. Why am I not feeling the butterflies? Why am I not tingly all over? Why am I not having this magic orgasm like I used to have when we just got married? The fact is, when it gets to this point, that's when you put in more effort. That's when you do more work. Because you know what? Guys, don't be fooled. All marriages go through that point. The honeymoon phase will fade. The honeymoon phase, it will fade. And then when crap hits the fan and responsibilities of life hit you, and then you realize that, you know what? Marriage is a full-time job. If I don't put in 24 hours of work, I'm going to lose it. I lose it.
That's true.
And that's that.
I agree with you. That's why initially when we started this conversation, you say you actually like your husband. This is why it's actually important to not only love your spouse, but to like them as well. Because if you don't genuinely like them, you don't want to be around them. So when this struggling time period comes up, you need something to keep you present. Because remember, you can love the person and not like the person as well. 100%. So in a marriage, it's absolutely important for you to like and love your partner. Um, and that actually strengthens your bonds. And real talk about marriage, like, it's not every day is not roses, it's not peaches and cream. Like, every day is not what's in the fairy tales. Like Camille said, I think every couple has this. It's not every day you like your spouse. It's not. It's not every day you get up and, oh, I'm so in love like the first day you met. That's not the case at all. And if everybody is honest with themselves that are in a relationship, they can testify to that. Marriage is intentional, people, and making it work is intentional. Every day you get up, you have to put in the effort to make it work. If everybody just flies back. Good night, Mr. Walker. Thank you for joining us. You can't just every day you can't, you have you see, it make me get confused now. See that butterflies. Anyway, um,
Welcome, Mr. Walker. Nice to have you.
um, it's intentional. Marriage is intentional. It's hard work, and you have to have a genuine liking for your spouse in order for it to be successful. And we are encouraging individuals. We're encouraging individuals, when you think of getting married, please get premarital counseling. It is absolutely important. Everything does not get resolved in premarital counseling. Everything is not, each partner does not, how do you put it? Each partner doesn't bear their soul in premarital counseling. So please don't think when you go to premarital counseling that everything that is in the closet is going to come out. It is not. But it's that some of the things will come out, and it will give you that will help you in your marriage. Also, like Camille said, counseling while you're married is absolutely important. Who is not only when you have a problem. You know what? Katie and Stuart Clark, please get off my life. Um, these people are gonna get confused. Yeah, but absolutely, marriage is a beautiful thing, and constant communication, like Kaden said, is absolutely necessary for your relationship to work. So, ladies, I'm gonna go around the room. Any last thoughts? Kayla, do you have any last questions
I have
before?
no last questions and I have no thoughts on the topic. You
Oh,
already know. Not yet. I don't have any thoughts yet.
let's read this. You may not feel like you're in love every day, but you still make a conscious choice to make it work. Knowing that the other person is willing to do the same, sometimes it's not even just talking, it's knowing each other on a level that's beyond the physical. That's true. I have to agree with that person. Um, So, Mr. Walker, you guys aren't seeing this coming because it's on a watch party that I put up. Mr. Walker said, Katie and only Jesus Christ Almighty alone, and you and Kadisha know. See them things there? Those are my two best friends. So he's referring to what he has to deal with. It's all right. Later for you. Um, but yeah, guys, back to what Trey said. It is true, knowing your partner beyond talking, because sometimes you can sit beside your partner and you don't have to talk. It's a look, and then it's a cuddle, and then you're both just sitting there and just being with each other, which is so intimate and so personal, that it doesn't even need words. You're literally just hanging out and being there. So, yeah. What are your last words, Nicole? You're on mute.
Nicole, don't you dare say go to somebody else because she's gonna come to me.
No,
Good.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't know what to say. Anyway, I think like just make sure the two of you are on the same page, and if problems come around, make sure you're willing to work around the problem. Because when in a marriage, if the communication ends or it stops, that's the point where you know that there's no repair in that marriage. So once the communication is not non-existent, it doesn't make sense. You try to fight for that marriage. That's just my thought.
Absolutely. Camille, last words.
Can I give a last few sentences?
Oh, absolutely.
Um, let me start. So this week, and it's about communication. Someone says communication is essential, but with communication, I just want us to understand that when we communicate, we send a message. So there's a sender and there's a receiver. So when we communicate, when we send the message, we only have control over what we send, right? That's the only control we have over what we send. We have no control over how it is received. And that is why we have to cut our partners some slack. This week I was at work, and for those of you who know my story, it takes nothing to make me sad. I just have some really deep scars. Some of them are still raw. So I was at work and I texted my husband and I said, I'm really sad. And of course, at his work, he's not allowed to have his phone. So he answered me like maybe 4 hours later on his lunch. And he said, what's making you sad now? And I said, nothing, absolutely nothing. And I put my phone in my purse and I didn't look to see if the conversation was continuing. But I came home mad. I was absolutely upset, so upset. I came home really upset. And he's like, what happened? Why are you so mad? And I'm like, imagine today I sent you a text. I said, I'm so sad. And your response was, what's making you sad now? And he said, how would you have wanted me to respond? And I said, you could have said, do you want to talk about it? And he said, you know what? That's true. Maybe if I had said, do you want to talk about it? Maybe you would have had it. Maybe we would have had a conversation about it. The fact of the matter is, though, I sent the message that I was sad. I had no control over how the message was received or what response I got. So I was too hard on my spouse, too hard on him. All right. When he asked that question, I could have decided to talk about it. I didn't. I chose to put myself, to elevate myself. Then I chose to elevate myself. And so I ended up being upset. Whereas I could have chose to just, he asked me what's making me mad. I could have just answered the question, right? But the fact of the matter is, I know that my husband knows that it takes nothing to make me sad. So I wanted a different response. Say that to say this. We cannot assume things about our spouses. We have to be intentional about what we want from them. So it's like you ask the question, honey, what do you want from me? What can I do so that we can understand each other better? How could I have done this better? How can I pleasure you better? How can I make you... Anyway, you get what I'm saying? Good. So it's having the conversations, guys. We cannot assume that our spouses know. We can't assume, and that's what I want. I want that to be the takeaway from what I said, shared this evening. Don't assume that your husband knows. Don't assume that your husband knows how you feel. Don't assume that just because your husband is in possession of a penis and you have a vagina, that he knows what pleasures you. Tell your husband how he needs to use that and where he needs to touch you so that you can have the ultimate sexual experience. Right? Because of a fact, He doesn't know your body, and you don't know his body either. So the husband or the man need to communicate. Exactly, what do you want? What do you want from me? How can I do this better? How can I become a better wife? How can I become a better partner? You know, and it's about being intentional. Another thing too, guys, it is okay. It is okay to check in on your spouse's mental health. Listen, man, I told someone this earlier, and I think I need to send a note to myself that marriage gets so much easier when we put others before ourselves. When we put our spouse before ourselves, marriage gets easier. Because no, it's not because guys, you must admit that you get a sense of satisfaction and a sense of well-being when you do things for others. I don't know about you, but I feel good when I do things for other people. Imagine doing all of that for your spouse. See what I'm saying? And listen, you won't always feel like you're appreciated, but you can say to your spouse, I would love if you tell me, for example, I would cook the loveliest dinner. I would cook the loveliest dinner sometimes. And my husband would just sit down and eat. And I would eat and I'd be like, man, I could marry myself. This dinner was good. And then he said, yeah, dinner was good. And I was like, if the dinner was good, my husband, I called him husband. I was like, husband, if the dinner was good, can you please tell me that the dinner was good? It does something to my psyche when I cook dinner and the dinner was good and you say that the dinner was good. And so he makes it a point of duty now. Whenever I give him a meal, he say, honey, this was good. Honey, you're the best cook in the world. And I feel so good. And guess what? Later just immediately got greater. Facts of life. That's how it works out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last comment, sending and receiving information, taking it deeper, you have to be interested in the person's plight to ask exactly what could be the matter. We have to be at a place when putting ego aside and having the heart to put self aside.
I like Trey. Beautiful.
100%.
100.
I must apologize for Christopher. Everybody on the planet knows Christopher's internet is not the best where he is living. So he got kicked off. So that's why he's not back. Hopefully, sometime in the future, we can do this again with the couples being on screen while we have this conversation. So we get both sides of the coin while we have this conversation.
The fly on Mr. Spence's head braver than my husband. You have to give me adequate time so me can pump up my husband.
Absolutely. 2 weeks notice. 2 weeks notice.
The fly on Spence's head braver than my husband. Trust me.
So we're gonna plan that in the future, guys. I want to thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys I hope you guys found some value in the conversation tonight, and it helps you as you move forward in your marriages or you contemplate getting married. One last thing, please don't spend out all of your money on the wedding day. Please, wanna have a life after. Please do not do that. Please do not feed the world.
Charlene, I had 15 people at my wedding. 15. Well, I invited 15 and 17 showed up.
Would like to hear something about gender roles and where to draw the line. Absolutely, that can be a topic.
Can I? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I thought he wanted to comment. No, because one thing I wanted to say, Charlene, that it's okay for one partner to pull more weight than the other at some point. Because for whatever reason, one partner might not be up to it. And it's okay for the other partner to pull more weight. I don't know if you get what I'm saying,
No, absolutely.
Yes. Because, let me tell you something, girl. When my mom, a couple of you know that my mom battled cancer 2018. Well, she lost the fight. She lost it. But during her last moments, I literally checked out. I checked out of my marriage. Literally checked out. I was numb, emotionless, unfeeling. I checked out. I was just a shell. I think I was only present maybe 50% to my son because in my head I knew that he was dependent on me and not so independent. So I checked out. Thank God my husband understood that what I was going through, and he was able to pick up the slacks. So he was the one doing the homework. He was the one practically doing everything, because some days I literally did not have it in me to do the laundry, to cook. I didn't have it in me to be the wife and the mother that I should be. See what I'm saying? So it is okay at some point in your life where roles can be reversed. You can do more than your husband can do more than you. It's just okay to lift each other up and to bear each other up where the other person falls short. It is
I,
okay.
I agree with you, Camille, because I've had periods where I just check out, like completely check out. I mean, the only thing I can do is get up, take a shower, and go back to bed. And that's where my husband comes in, and he did everything. There was no complaining or nothing. He understood because he knew that me on a normal basis, I do everything. So when it was time for him to like pick up the slack, it was okay. So there's absolutely no issue in that, because it's a team. It's a team. And when you're a part of a team, you know both roles. So if I'm lacking in something, that's where you pick up the slack. We balance out each other. And that's how marriage is supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, absolutely. Definitely teamwork. Thank you, Tamara, and thanks, Chris. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Really enjoyed talking about marriage. We don't really talk about it a lot, but when we do get a chance to talk about it, thank you, Camille, for coming on again. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Thank you again to the housewives for always being here on a Saturday night. And again, if you're getting married, save your money. Please save your money, because spend it on the honeymoon, something else. You know, let's not do this grand show for everybody else, and then the marriage falls apart 2 days later. You know what I mean? Let's be let's think about what we do, be intentional about what we do. And thanks, Trey. Really appreciate you coming through with your comments as well. Yeah, thanks to everybody, our usual listeners. Come on, Katie Ann, our usual listeners for coming through and listening and enjoying this moment with us of conversation. That is it from us tonight. Oh yeah. My husband says true word. Save every bit of it. He agrees with the spending on the wedding. Don't know why. But yeah, guys. Thank you guys. And that's it from us tonight, guys. See you guys next week, same time. We're gonna have another conversation, and we'll put it up during the week what the conversation will be about. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Housewives of Alberta. And yeah. And yes, follow Camille, because Camille have some very controversial things that she posts on our page on a daily basis, and very entertaining as well. For information about all the housewives, you'll see it in the description box below. Have a good night, guys.